So today we are going to talk about a real ghost ship, and that is the Queen Mary of Long Beach, California. So you'll probably never cruise after hearing these stories, or maybe you will, because it's dry dock. But anyways, so today, like I said, we're talking about the Queen Mary, which is a literal ghost ship. This ship has so many ghosts. I didn't realize it had as many until I started researching. I'd actually seen numerous documentaries on it, and I just find it such a fascinating place. So first, we're going to start with a little bit of history, because I cannot do the history of something, or I just can't leave out the history, basically. So the Queen Mary is an ocean liner, formerly of Cunard Line, that sailed the Atlantic Ocean from 1936 to 1937. She would later be dry docked in 67 at Long Beach rather, and now serves as a hotel and a museum. So she would make her maiden voyage on May 27th, 1936, and she will win the Blue Ribbon, which is an award given to passenger liners crossing the Atlantic in regular service with record high average speed. So she was doing very well when she started. However, when World War II broke out, she would be converted to a troop ship. And after the war, she would be converted back into a passenger ship. So as a passenger liner, she was gorgeous. And I'm going to put up, or I might put up some pictures for this video. I'm not sure yet, because this is a get ready with me or get ready to cruise with me. But anyways, so she's a gorgeous ship. If you've ever seen Netflix's Altamar, it pretty much resembles that ship. So it's giving Barbara de Braganza. So this ship featured 2 indoor swimming pools that spanned 2 decks. I have never seen that. Especially not on like a modern cruise ship. She also had beauty salons, libraries, a children's nursery, and even a music studio. So the cabin class, like the main dining room with cabin class, featured a large map of the transatlantic crossing with twin tracks symbolizing the winter or spring route that they would take, or the summer and autumn route, depending on the time of the year. So woods from different regions of the British Empire were also used in the public restrooms and staterooms of this ship. And it is a very beautiful ship. Actually, I am going to post pictures for y'all. So, the ghost. So people have been seeing ghosts on this ship for over 40 years. And it's said that there are 150 known spirits on board, that's a lot of dead people. So we're going to start down in the engine room and work our way up. Essentially, we're going to Poseidon Adventure this, which, interestingly enough, was filmed on board the Queen Mary, which I didn't know. So there's a little film trivia for y'all. So the engine room is literally in the bowels of the ship at 50 feet below the waterline, which makes it already creepy. Like, I can't even imagine 50 feet below the waterline. What does that look like? What does that sound like? Okay. So down there is a watertight door called door number 13. As the doors are, numbered, but this is the 13th door. So there's going to be some problematic things happening at this door. So a watertight door basically keeps water from escaping an area if it's flooded, in case you didn't know or care to know. And this door has crushed at least 2 men to death. The most recent death being in 1966. So people often see the ghost of a crew member dressed in blue, working coveralls. He is said to walk the length of what they call the shaft alley before disappearing at door number 13. So he's said to be one of those spirits, or one of the people that was killed at door number 13. Up several decks is the famous 2-deck pool that I mentioned in the intro. So the ghosts of women in 1930s swimming suits appear in there. And people also hear splashing, which it would be fine if, there was water in the pool, but there is no water because it doesn't work. So along with there's also phantom wet footprints padding across the pool leading to the changing rooms. The second class pool is also home to a little girl who supposedly drowned when the ship was a working ocean liner. I've heard that she was having a birthday party there and she slipped and fell in the water and drowned. I think another story suggests that she just drowned while swimming, but either way, she's been said to haunt that area. A few years back, actually, it wasn't even a few years, it was several years back, Travel Channel did a special and they had someone come on board, and this person said that they think that that's a portal to like the paranormal world, but I don't know about that. if you believe in mediums and stuff, that's what it said that is, which I could see since there is so much activity in that area. So even the salon is haunted. So people often report seeing a woman just in there dancing around dressed in white. And if the ghosts don't get you in the public areas, they'll get you in the staterooms. So guests have reported seeing a man dressed in a 1930s style suit in one of the staterooms on the ship. Faucets will also turn on and off of their own accord, along with the lights in the middle of the night just flicking on and off, along with the faucets. Which, to the ghost, that's a little rude. I mean, people trying to sleep and you just, what are you doing? So anyways, guests also report phones ringing in the early morning hours with no one on the other end of the line. And if the ghosts aren't doing prank calls, they're doing ding dong ditch. So people hear the sound of distinct knocking at the doors, and when they get to the check, to get up to check, there will be nothing there except the scent or the smell of cigars from like long past. And speaking of staterooms, we're going to talk about one notorious stateroom called B430. So this story is said to be made up, but the room has activity, so they can't deny that, and it's terrifying nonetheless. So supposedly this room is haunted by a man from the 1960s era who will say deleted or belayed, since we're nautical today, 2 women. For his crime, he will be locked away in his third class stateroom, and a guard will be posted up outside his door, so he wouldn't escape. So this is where the story gets crazy, like it gets insane. So while he was in there, he would later start screaming for help, saying that something is in here with me and it's trying to kill me. So the guard ignored him, thinking he just wants, he wants to get out, try to escape. But eventually the passenger would quiet down, and the guard thought he was, he calmed down and went to sleep. So the next day, they went to take him off the ship to be, deposited to the authorities on shore. But they would find this man allegedly ripped apart. They didn't say as far as like limbs ripped apart, but like he was in pretty bad shape and he was no longer with us. So his stateroom, along with 2 others, would become what is now known as B340. And here's something more unnerving. So this story was cooked up by the people at Disney when they owned the Queen Mary, because of course Disney owned the Queen Mary at one point. And this just has me wondering, what is going on with the writers over there? At the same time, people claim that there is something going on in there, but no one knows the origins of the activity. So it's not known like what happened for this activity to be the way it is. And it's a pretty well-known story, and people tend to go on the ship looking for trouble, looking for paranormal activity. But I do have one more story for you that I may do a TikTok on it, but I don't know, because I'm gonna do the story here. But there is a story that's also in California I guess you could say set in California, or rather the ship is docked or is in California now, called the Star of India. And this story The version that I heard was on the History Channel. You know, when the History Channel used to show like actually interesting program. I know that's a hot take, but it's the truth. So the Star of India traveled from, I believe it was from, of course, you know, the United States down to Australia and to Asia, and it was basically ferrying people down there to live or to work, and it was a passenger ship basically, and of course they also carried cargo because that was usually something that these ships did. But this story that's related to the Star of India is of a little boy. I've heard him called was Oswald Getz. I just had the name, but I know his first name was Oswald. There's another name that I'll put on the screen that I think they like definitively found that this is the actual person that died. Some say he's a little boy, some say he's a teenager. He was like 14, but he had stowed away on the Star of India, and he got found, you know, by the crew. And so they fed him and told him in one version that, hey, you gotta work. The other version, though, is, I don't know, I feel like it's much more interesting. The other version, the History Channel version, we'll call it, says that he was, you know, he's a little boy, so he would play tag with the other children. And the version of tag that is described is of, like, once you're tagged, so to speak, they will draw a S on your shoulder with their finger, so it's like an S shape. And my arm is tingling now just thinking about what's coming up next. So anyways, so this little boy decides that one day he's gonna show off to his friends, and don't worry, the tag part comes in later, but anyways, he's gonna show off to his friends, and so he decides he's gonna climb up into the rigging, which, if you know, is typically something that a skilled sailor would do. Not, well, I mean, even children, because back then, like, kids were just little adults. But this little boy, he was not a sailor at all. So unfortunately, he would slip and fall to his death, landing on the deck. And now they say, they guess to this ship, because it is like a historical site, will fill, usually children too, like, oh my God, can you imagine, will feel someone drawing an S on their back, you know, as though he's still playing tag. People also report being watched by presumably this little boy. So yeah, if you're in California, I would suggest you hit up the Queen Mary and this the Star of India, which I think is in San Diego. I think that's where it is. But yeah, so this is the end of my Get Ready With Me. I'm gonna finish getting ready for my vacation, and the next time you hear from me, I will be in the middle of the ocean telling you about all the destinations and the ghost stories that are associated with them. So all the destinations we're going to and the stories that go with them. So I'll see you later. Bye.